Hello, today I'm going to be explaining how to get the best marks on G543 A and B questions. So to start off with, your Part A questions ask you to describe relevant psychological research. So by describe, that means to give factual information. So we're really looking for detailed knowledge of studies and theories for these A questions. Just so you're sure, a study is the name of the study, its aims, the procedure, its participants, who they are and how many there are, its findings, and lastly, a conclusion. It does not include evaluations. Reason for this being is because this skill is only assessed in the B question. If you write any evaluations in your A question answers, you're going to get no marks for that, and you'll miss out on getting those marks in the B question. So evaluation is not in your A question answers. Okay, the A questions are 10 marks in each. You should spend approximately 10 minutes on them, so you should spend a bit less time than would seem to make sense in terms of mark a minute. That's because they're a little bit easier than the B questions. Ideally 2 to 3 studies and or theories for each A question answer. Okay, don't worry about intros. It's not really an essay. It's a short 10-mark question. Don't worry about it. Go straight into describing. Go straight into picking up those marks. Okay, moving on. We've got the B questions, which are discussion questions, and they are a bit trickier. Now, all the B questions are about issues and debates. Okay, so debates like reductionism, nature versus nurture, issues such as validity and reliability. B questions are not about the studies or about evaluating the studies, and that's the thing a lot of people find tricky to do. Okay, but trust me, they're not about the studies. They ask us to consider what methodological and theoretical problems there are with investigating a given topic. So a topic could be, for example, why we commit crime, witness recall, or minority influence in the jury room. Every B question, however it's worded, is basically asking you, why is it hard to research topic XYZ or XYZ topic? Why is it hard to research it? Now, in terms of essay structure, you've got your question, and you should break it down to 2 paragraphs. And each of those paragraphs should include examples, explanation, information. And that's because the mark scheme asks you to address 2 issues and or debates. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a topic, and you can break it down to 2 paragraphs, and you explain why each of these issues applies to this topic in particular. And then you can use examples from your knowledge of key studies to exemplify it, to give examples to show that you understand how these things relate together. Now, what my students always ask me is, why can't we just evaluate the studies? With every lesson, we're looking at the strengths and weaknesses of studies. Why is it that I can't just write down an evaluation of Rain et al. And get my marks? And that's because any one individual study can be flawed. It could just be that that study in particular is bad. Now, we can't generalise from having one bad study that all studies on that topic are going to be flawed in some way. However, we can look at, and it's interesting to see why, some topics tend to experience problems with certain issues and or debates. So, for example, all causes of crime, let's turn it to crime, 1.1, studies are potentially at risk from determinism and or reductionism, because these issues are connected to causation, and we're looking at causes of behaviour and causes of crime studies. And so, as a result, you've got to be particularly careful for these 2 issues and or debates. Conversely, studies into police and prisons are more likely to experience ethnocentrism as a problem, because these topics are heavily affected by a culture, the culture of a particular police station, the culture of a particular prison can vary a great deal, and so ethnocentrism is likely to be a problem unless you're doing lots of prisons, doing lots of police services. Now, you can use the studies. It's not about the studies, but you can use them. So For example, we start off with our question. We break it down into two issues. And we take one issue. We say why that issue applies to this question topic. And then we can, as by way of giving an example, we can show how it applied in study ABC. So we're exemplifying this, but it's not about the study. The study is just there as an example to show that what we're saying has some sort of validity to it. Lastly, I think it's really important to stress this. Remember that top psychologists don't tend to make basic methodological and theoretical mistakes. That they know that particular way of doing it is not going to be perfectly ecologically valid, or that way of doing it is not going to be especially reliable. What they do is make necessary compromises, and those compromises can be in response to, say, time or money or often access. So, for example, Zimbardo isn't doing his prison experiment in a real prison because a real prison wouldn't allow him access and wouldn't allow him power to do the sorts of things that he's interested in doing. And so as a result, he's compromising his validity in terms of ecological validity for his validity in terms of his control over the variables. Okay, well, I hope that explains a little bit how to answer G543 A and B questions, and stick with it. Thank you. Bye bye. Okay, I think we're done. I don't know.